Welcome everyone, it's Jarv here from Medieval Mirage. Thank you for joining me today. This video is an introduction. I show you hands-on what you can accomplish when you want to resize your digitals that you have purchased. If you want to increase the size of your digital covers so that it fills the whole entire journal cover, or whatever purpose that you need, you're not happy with the sizing, you want to increase the sizing, this video is for you. So this is the introduction. I'm kind of hands-on. There's a sort of a two-section part. The one that you can see at the moment will be towards the end, and the one that you'll see in a minute, that's at the beginning, so that you can have the confidence to resize your digitals and customize them to your needs. This is part one, the introduction. Part two will either have an icon to the right at the top pretty much soon. You can click onto that after you've watched this, or I'll link it below. It is worth your while watching because I'm going to use a universal, well, hopefully universal way of increasing your digitals without the need to learn or own editing software. So I hope you will join me on this journey. It's lovely to have your company. Thank you for your beautiful support. So yeah, let's get on with this tutorial. Thanks everyone. Welcome everyone, it's Jarv here from Medieval Mirage. It's the 27th of March 2023 and I hope you're all doing well. And I really appreciate you joining me today. Just to start off with, I just want you to know how much I appreciate you all. You're just all wonderful. So thank you so much. If I don't get around to mentioning that sometimes in my comments, I do apologize. Due to my situations, it's not always possible, but please know that they're deeply valued and appreciated. Yeah. Okay, now this will be part of my tutorial on how to resize digital images, whether they're mine or anybody else's, because you do have the permission to use my kits for a couple of things. Because there is allowance made to resize. That's possibly the only thing that you can really do digitally with my kits is to resize them. So I do a comprehensive, very extensive, in-depth tutorial, which you'll be seeing. Because it's so long, I think it's going to have to be part 1 and 2. It has been very time consuming, and that's why I haven't been around, and I do apologize profusely. As you know, my videos aren't chronological in order. I don't do my videos in real time like a lot of other crafters who I deeply admire their incredible commitment to do that. I don't seem to function that way. I hope one day I will, but mine are just more sharing something a little bit different, or I love to use my Medieval Mirage method to, I don't know, challenge tradition. I like to do things differently, or give you something a little bit outside the crafting sphere that's a little bit different and may prove helpful for you. Anyway, thank you for your beautiful support and joining me today. For those that are new, welcome. Please consider subscribing and put your notification bells on. It'd be lovely to have you join us. Okay, so regarding sizes, now a lot of you have kindly purchased my digital journal jewellery kits and volume 2 medieval Bohemian Eclectic Essence, where I give you standard sizes for covers. Now, some of you might feel, oh, okay, I have to make it for one particular size. Well, the good news is, this is why I've created this video. I'm going to be showing you how you can use your own computer with basically things that you can either get free or is already attached to your software that runs your computer, like Microsoft, which is what I use, you may be able to utilize the tools that they provide so that you don't have to go purchasing, you know, Photoshop or any other kind of software editing when it comes to digital images. Especially part 2, I will be showing you how I use PC, but the principles will be the same for those that use Mac or laptops, desktops. So don't worry, what I'm going to share with you, there will be an equivalent in the actual desktop or laptop or Mac that you are using. And even if you are using Windows 10 or 11 or even younger like 9, I'm sure there'll be equivalents for these that will work with your software operating system. So please be assured that that is what I talk about in part 2 of that video. Thank you. So one of the things I wanted to show you was, I'll just put that there, is so this is in my kit in I can't remember which, but they'll be listed below and you can have a look at the links, because I'll take you to those not to those videos, to the shop, so you can see which one I'm using, but it'll be a little bit familiar to you. However, when you print it out at the moment, you'll only be able to print it out at the way that I have structured the actual pages when you're printing it out. So this one here, when you purchase the journals and you have a cover available to you, if it's not the size of the cover that you're after, I wanted to show you. So this would have been originally 5.25 by 7.25 or 5 by 7. So say it was just 5 by 7. All right, I just wanted to show you, there's 5 and there is 7. Now I've increased this to 9.5 and I've increased this to just a little bit over 6.5 inches. So it's 6.2 inches. So now this doesn't go edge to edge because I don't want it to. But if you measure out, and you're going to need centimeters if at all possible, unless, or millimeters, unless you have a different software on your computer that gives you different measurements. I don't know, because I'm in Australia, so I just have something that's familiar for people where I live, but it could be different from you. But you'll see in my video and you'll be able to work things out. So it's just a matter of measuring out exactly what you want the digital to be, what size you want it to be. So I've allowed myself a seam allowance or a border because I like that look. When you're increasing it, I've increased the size, but at the same time I've given you extras to create a 3D effect. Okay, so I've just left a couple of them out so that you can just have a look. Now obviously if you're going to be increasing the size of this, you're going to also need to increase the size of these. And this is where it's really important you also try to increase the size of the embellishment. But you should be able to do it well with the programs I'm going to show you. For those of you that aren't into wanting to learn how to use a program, I'm giving you stuff that's already on your computer that you might even be familiar with. So I'm trying to be as helpful to many of you that don't have software editing. So anyway, that's what you've just got to keep in mind, that if you're going to increase the size of something, you'll need to increase the matching ornaments that will go with it, which is what I've done. And while in saying that, I'm just going to show you. See, I just glued it on. I know there was a bit of, I didn't realize there was some score lines there, but it really doesn't matter because they do kind of lie flat anyway. But I thought I'd just cut this out with you and just show you how I go about making the journal jewellery side of things to give my journals that 3D look. So it does help gluing these onto cardstock before you cut them out. It makes life easier for you. The other thing I wanted to mention was what you could also do is just print 2 of these if you weren't able to increase the size of the included embellishments. What you could do is make 2 of these at the size that you want, and one of them you're just going to have to sacrifice by cutting out your elements and then following this by gluing this on here. I'll just cut that white bit off, we don't want it. Okay, and then you could do 2, well, you might want to do 3 for the back, and one of these would need to be sacrificed. You glue that on your cardstock and cut out those pieces, or you could cut around here, 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 glue them onto cardstock. That kind of gives it more dimension, and in that way you can keep everything the one size. So if you really want to go full on with it being wide, well, I mean, you want it to really stand out, you can double it, but I think just the one is enough. And then you can start layering these pieces on here like a little jigsaw puzzle. And then if you want to, you can get your little 3D paints like I've shown you. My apologies that everything is shaking. I'm so sorry. I don't know what else I can do about it. Bad timing on my part, I guess. But anyway, you can grab your favorite 3D paint, whatever color you like, and then you can go into it really intricately, which I've absolutely shown you how to do on my previous videos, so I'll link them below if this is the first time you're here, or you might have missed it. So that's what I wanted to show you. You can increase the size of your journal covers and make something that is customized for your needs. Okay, so this one here is from my Medieval Maidens kit. And I have got a video that's coming up for that one. Okay, so I have got a tutorial on how I kind of organize this, but you're getting a little bit of a preview. But that's in my shop under Medieval Maidens, which will be linked below. This is a journal that I've actually constructed, which I've also recorded. I'll show you how I construct my journals, but for the time being I just wanted to put it there so that you could see what I'm talking about with regards to increasing the size or decreasing your size of your digital journal covers, or something that you would like to increase even in paper size. Obviously in the video you'll be learning you don't want to go to an unreasonable extent, because then things will become pixelated, because I've just designed it basically for a full page. You can go a page higher, in other words for A4 users you can go up to A3, and still get fantastic results if you use the right paper. But let me just show you something. Okay, so this journal here, journal cover, is basically just a little bit over 9.5 inches, and on this side here we're looking at about just under 6.5 inches. For me personally, I do love it when I can create panels. You'll be familiar with these, and I am mindful that I'm still going to have to show you how I did the actual jewellery pieces. But can you see these here? There's the book cover, but I've created a panel. I love panels. I think panels add, like I said, that dimension, and I think they look absolutely fantastic because they're more 3D, and this one as well. So see here, there's the panel, but there extended beyond it is the actual journal cover. And yeah, but that's what I mean. You don't have to necessarily have your cover extending towards the perimeters of your cover. You can make them be much more of a panel, which adds character. So you might also be familiar with this one as well, that I have shown you, and that's another story in itself with making it. But can you see all around here we have a panel? So that's what it looks like on the inside. But this is how I like to make my journal covers. So it's paneled, and even then I've made a panel, and then I've made another one with the digital image on it. So this is just digital paper on here, digital paper glued on cardstock that we make the panels with. And this is the other one that you didn't really get to see because I'm still wanting to show you how I make this. But see, here's the panel, right? It doesn't have to extend to the perimeters of a cover. I've just given you a few ways that you can use the size or dimension that I've created for you in the digital kits that you print. You don't have to go to the full perimeter. However, if you do want to, and I agree they can look really good, then I'm going to show you, because you may have something that you want to be a bit more customized. You might want it a bit more narrow, you might want it a bit more taller, you might want it just a bit wider. But just remember, every time you do that, you will start distorting the image unless you follow my instructions as to how to pull them out and how to remeasure them, which will help at least keep it within the constraints of its design. But you'll see what I mean when we look at that. Okay, so we have this one here, and I will show you how I made this, recorded myself doing it. But I just want you to just see, this one here hasn't been painted or anything, but I just wanted to give you the bare bones of everything, of how you can change something. I think I prefer this color with this one rather than the real bright one. So let me just show you that one instead. Yeah, the great thing about this is you can add all sorts of groovy things on there. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I prefer this color gem on this one. So you can make it this way. It doesn't have to be, you know, to the perimeters. I know I keep repeating myself, but see, it's just on some cardboard. I recommend rating your kids or your own notebooks. They have fantastic backing boards. I use them all the time for that reason, and I know it makes my notebooks floppy, but it's so worth it, especially if I've used them up and I've written everything I need down. but sketchbooks will have them as well. Okay, so don't throw those out. They're so handy for that reason. All right, I'll put that there so that you can at least have something pretty to look at while I'm waffling away. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. So please continue watching the rest of this video as it will go in depth. And huge apologies for the kind of almost earthquake experience that you must be experiencing with the tremoring of the washing machine really giving our home a good workout. Oh, by the way, another thing you can do, I mean, I love this, I love these, so I can't wait to show you how I make these. That will be coming when I can edit it properly, but it's almost ready to go. So that was made ages ago, but I can't wait to actually share it with you. Okay, well, let's get on with the rest of the video. Hey everyone, welcome. It's great to have your company. It's Jav here from Medieval Mirage. I hope you're all doing very well. Today's date is the 1st of March 2023, and I've done a little bit of a detour from the usual content that I'm doing, and I apologize for my delay. With the journal jewellery. I've got a few on the go and juggling them for editing, but I've got other things as well. And one of the things that did hold me up was I wanted to do a recording or a tutorial on how to increase the size of digital images. So you might come across my kits. Some of them might be 5x7, 5.25 by 7.25 images, and even like full page ones as well. And you might want to increase those sizes if you're going for a journal that's larger, or you're wanting to use your full pages. So what I wanted to do was create a video on how to go about that in the simplest way with things that you already have, rather than forking out money to buy software editing. You can get some that are free online. I really don't know much about them because of the software editing that I use is paid. But I do know that there are some that are for free, but I don't know much about them. So I thought I would use two things that would be common on most PCs or Macs and general devices that have the power to do a little bit of editing. And one of the things about my terms of use, you can increase or resize my images. As you all know, I only sell on Etsy. If you see my stuff sold anywhere else, you know that that's not legit. That isn't me, and you're dealing with someone who has absolutely broken the law. So just be careful with that. So I only sell my stuff under Medieval Mirage on Etsy. That's it. So if you see it printed and being sold elsewhere, that is absolutely illegal, and they don't have the permission to do that at all, because that's not part of my terms of use. So all my kits are about printing out your stuff and making something physical, either a journal, mini album, any projects that you have that are handmade, crafted projects that you've made yourself and used your imagination to make. That's what the kits are for, and you can sell them as well, what you've made physically. So one of the reasons why I've been away for a while is it took me so long. In fact, when I finally worked out my Medieval Mirage method, so what I did was I had to spend a bit of time finding a method that would be available to most of you, if not all of you. and I tried to keep it as simple as possible. So I hope it will prove to be helpful, because it will be so beneficial for you to know these steps. Because if you've had digital kits that you've purchased from different designers over the years, but you would have liked to have increased the size, generally decreasing something is a lot easier, but you can use this principle for this what I'm going to show you today, but it's increasing that size. So obviously it would have to be within reason. You wouldn't want to be distorting the look of the image or going well beyond the designed perimeters. We've got to be reasonable, but you know, to increase it by a few inches, a couple of inches, well, that would be absolutely possible. So I wanted to keep it really simple. So I had to do this method myself, and I had to think about it. So that took me quite some time. It really consumed my thinking, and I came up with what I'm calling my medieval Mirage method, only because I don't know if others have done this way, but this is what I nutted out myself, and it worked. So that was great. And the other thing was, then I had the problem of recording it, because I need to do it on my computer screen using the web and the apps on my computer. Actually ran into so many recording issues. You wouldn't believe it. I thought I was doing a great job, but then I would go back and it hadn't even recorded at all. It just had one image. It just stayed on one image. The other one had this big black thing in the way. Oh my goodness, it was so crazy. Anyway, I found the way. So it's kind of almost been a 2-week process. I think it took me 10 days to get the recording correct. And then the recording went for hours, and then I didn't explain it very well. So anyway, I finally feel that the one that I did last night, which I'll be editing today, was the best one. And that was yesterday. I recorded it, yeah, last night, as I was saying. My brain is so wiped, I'm telling you. It really consumes so much of my brain space. Oh, it's crazy. Okay, so what I wanted to show you was that you're going to look at today. It might be quite a long video. I will try to, you know, trim it down. It might be part 1 and part 2, but I've shown you 2 ways of using it. One way is just by using one on its own. The other is a two-step one, but they each have advantages. You know what I mean? So I wanted to give you guys the best and the simplest. I really hope I've explained it well. I'm so sorry if I haven't, because when you do a number of videos back to back, and then you realize it was a dud and it just didn't work, but you think you've explained everything in all those videos, and I don't want to be repeating myself, so I'm kind of all over the place, so I don't know what it will be like listening back to it, but I hope it made some sense. Anyway, so what I just wanted to show you just quickly is the importance of your photo paper. So I do have a tutorial coming. I did it pre-recorded. I pre-recorded it last year. Was it last year? Boy, my days have blurred into one. But anyway, I did record it, and it's very extensive on how to get the best printing. And I'm going to be doing a few more of those type of tutorials so that you guys get the best of the best from me. I will give you everything that I think will always give you great results, because that's important to me. I want you guys to be able to be happy with everything that you utilize, either my methods that I use or whether you're using my kit. So I really want to do the best for you guys. So you'll notice that here there's some different colors. So this was done on photo paper matte. This was done on digital paper, and this was done on plain printer paper. So you can see the incredible difference. If I just hold these up together, you can see the difference. I've got these two together. But look at the difference in the color. So they, again, yeah, because this was the original color that I did it on, that I designed this. But then this one, it's made it really brighter. And that's really interesting how you can get different results on the same printer, but using different papers, but the same image. Crazy, isn't it? So with digital paper, I just want to let you know what works for me if you're using digital paper. It's not the same as photo paper. This to me is always the best. You will always get the best, crisp, correct colors with photo paper, absolutely. But with digital paper, I do recommend that you do it as a plain paper setting. When you're using matte photo paper, you must change your paper to matte photo paper settings on your printer. And of course, it doesn't really matter with just plain printer paper. So it's one of those things that you need to play around with. But I am going to try my hardest to get that other video up and running amidst all the other tutorials that I should be editing for you, and it's so slow. I'm so sorry. I will be doing that video, but it's so comprehensive and I'm excited to share it with you because it will help explain a lot of things so that you always get great results. Okay, so in saying that, one of the issues that I have as a designer is the two paper formats around the world. We have US letter size and we have A4. I use A4. And to design, it's a nightmare. And I know I've mentioned this before. It's such a nightmare to do because it's not the same. The papers are not the same. And this is why I've created this video, so that if you're purchasing anything from me that's A4 and you're finding, oh no, it's cut the images off, or I have to shrink it. No, I don't want it like that. It doesn't matter anymore. This video is going to solve that issue for you, and you'll be able to see how even just a full-length image, just a full-length image of an A4, you'll be able to fit it almost exactly to the size of your full US letter size. Absolutely. Now, because it's a different shape, it might look a little bit odd, but that's where you're going to need to eyeball it and look yourself and see, does this look odd or not? If it does, then take it back a bit so that you can precisely make it look larger, but still in keeping with the image ratio, so it doesn't look a bit weird. You'll see what I mean in the tutorial that's coming. I will do my best to give you timestamps as best I can, and I might be repeating myself. I apologize for that, but I do believe that when you're learning something new for the first time, or you're learning about something that you're using that's familiar, but you're learning it in a different way, I think repetition is key. And I do encourage you to keep watching those videos over and over again. And if at all possible, have your tablet or your phone next to your computer so that you can follow along with me. My voice is going. I'm so sorry, everybody. So in part 2, which will be linked below, and I'll try and have an icon at the top, either at the beginning of this video or now. Please go there, because that's where you can get your downloadable gift giveaways. So just remember, this is in part 2. You'll have an ability to download some instructional sheets well, it's one actually, an instructional conversion sheet, which you will absolutely need. Print that out or take a screenshot and print it out. You're going to need that with you at all times. Don't lose it, because that is going to help you with the tutorial on how to resize your papers, especially if you're increasing the size. And the other thing I wanted to say was, and also I've added a couple of covers that are just 5.25 by 7.25 approximately, and I've done it for, I've actually created it for both formats, US letter size and A4. Be sure you know which one are you, and then download them, because you can use them to practice. You know, download them to your computer and you can use these to practice and follow along with me. However, if you do have some of my Codex covers in my from my shop, then get the ones that you want to increase and follow along with me, so that you can increase them to the size you would like. So this will mean you'll need a ruler. So you'll need to have your journal covers, and I'm going to be showing you how I constructed this, but you're going to need to get your measurements out and decide whether you want it to be completely covering your cover, or so it's more like a panel rather than it being a entire decorative cover. So you're going to have to get your measurements right, and then you're going to have to use my instructions and the principles of my tutorial and follow along with the principles. So I use one number just to make it easy, but you'll be able to see how you can convert those numbers to what you need. But you will need a good ruler. I love this ruler because it gives me inches and it gives me centimeters. Oh, it's by StudyMate from Officeworks. I think it might be Officeworks. Yeah, love it. It's great. And of course it's got a conversion table here. So you're going to hear words like pixels and centimeters and inches. So you'll get an idea of why we need those conversions, because it will make sense on how to go about making this work for you. When you actually print everything out, what I recommend is when you're practicing, definitely do your settings to just plain printer paper. Okay, your regular plain copy paper. And that's really important because you'll need to do some practice runs to get the ratio right when you're measuring, to see if you've got the printing has worked correctly. Now, you may also need to adjust whether you do borderless printing or no borderless printing. You're going to have to work that one out. So what I wanted to talk about with these images is you'll be able to see how you can add a few extras so that you're not wasting a whole page. You'll be able to see how you can do that. Now, when it comes to your settings, again, just practice. Play around with whether you're going to do borderless or no border. So borderless or with a border, play around with those, print them out, then measure. And then you want to also make sure that when you start printing properly, to change the settings. So you're going to have to keep an eye on your settings. This is really important. You might just print, automatic, but this is where you're going to have to really work with your printer. Your paper settings are really important, especially when it comes to the type of paper you're using, but whether you're going to be using border or borderless, or fit to page or unticking fit to page. That kind of gets explained in the tutorial, so I hope I have remembered to cover that as best I can. So this is where you're going to have to do your part by printing everything out and then measuring. So sometimes it may not be exactly, say, so for example, I've chosen 6 by 8 inches to increase the 5.25 by 7.25 covers that are available in my shop. So I did it 6 by 8. Okay, so that's still within the ratio of that particular kit. Now, one thing to note is you may not get a precise measurement that you've worked out. Don't worry about that. It'll be as close as possible. So that is what I'm trying to say. You will get it precisely or as close as possible, or just a little bit off. But don't worry too much. This is where you can play around with those items. I'll try to put a display up for you, or even a printable, an instructional one, if at all possible. I'll see, because that's going to take a bit more brain power for me today, but we'll see how we go. You can also do the same with your spines. You can increase the width and the length as well to match. And the reason why I've got this here was I thought, well, I can just reduce this and just add another one so that I'm not wasting paper, because it could be used as a tuck spot. So let me just show you the measurements here. Okay, so in this case, I have been able, can you see how I've been able to get it to almost 8 inches. It's just a little bit off, like it's a little bit over, but that's okay. It doesn't matter that there's a little bit over, because you can just trim it. The problem is when you go under. So that's where you might need to play around with your numbers, and you should be able to get the idea of how you can even just give it a little bit of a tweak manually to get it a little bit longer if need be. Okay, so here we go. This one here again is, okay, so again, it's a little bit over, but that's okay because I can trim it down. So this is the thing, everybody, to note, that it might not be an exact science, because it depends on your printer and the way it's set up, or even your cutting and pasting, the image that you want to increase. All of that play a role, but why is this still so great? It doesn't matter whether it's precise or not. Why? Because you think about it now. Have a look at this. This would be basically about here to print it, and then with its original way that it's been designed, and 5.25, it's roughly about there. Can you see what I mean? You have increased the size. You are getting the best out of your kits now, because you're able to get more of the size that you require. So going a little bit over your number is okay, because you can trim that one down. If it is a little bit smaller, well, then play around, or not worry about it, because if it is a little bit smaller, it can be used as a panel, and the rest of your cover can be painted. So there's ways around it. It's not going to be the end of the world if you can't get it precise and exactly. So this one again, this one here was with Open Office, the word processor that we'll be using, and this one here was the Paint app. Okay, so that one there again, It's just a little bit over, as you can see. I've got that right there. You can see that it's a little bit over, but that's great. That's not bad at all. It's so much better than, yeah, and this one's a little bit over as well, but there's room to trim it down. It's not going to interfere with the image. So that's what I wanted to show you, everybody. Okay, so with this one here ended up being obviously a little bit shorter. Can you see that there? And okay, so again, a little bit shorter, but I don't mind that personally at all. I think it's pretty close. But I think it was because I used borderless. I think that's why it wasn't the right size, because I remember printing it out and thinking, what's going on? Why isn't it printing correctly? And that is exactly why. So, so this is where you guys will need to know your printers as well as possible. Into the setup page, you'll be able to see the different options. And this one was for this one, and this is where it becomes a bit tricky. Okay, sorry, I'm wagging the ruler at you, only as a warning. All right, so with the Paint app, I printed it. You'll know what I'm talking about when you watch the video, but when I use the Paint app, I ticked borderless. So in other words, I didn't want a border all the way around my images. I wanted no border. And of course, when I do that, I have to press untick fit to picture or fit to frame. Yeah, I know it gets very complicated, but bear with me. This one was fine because I printed it borderless. This is fine, even though I printed this on the word processor, is fine, but it was because it did have a border. I don't know why, but anyway, so this had a border on it. This didn't, and I got basically 6 by 8, a little bit over, but certainly absolutely great. I think that's exceptional. This one, however, was the word processor, the Open Office that I used, and because it was on borderless, it totally ruined. Well, it didn't ruin it. It didn't ruin it, but it actually made it smaller than the number. I mean, well, it's pretty close. I mean, look. Oh. Okay, so that's just a little bit off in the sense that on this side, it's just under 8. I mean, that's pretty good. And then on this side, it's basically spot on. See? Spot on. Let's get that there. It's spot on. So this is what I mean. It will be spot on maybe on one side and maybe not on the other. But what you're gaining is you're gaining the customized size that you want for your particular style of journal or mini album or paper size. It will be so helpful, whether it's accurate all the time or precise or just a little bit over the numbers or just a little bit under, you're still getting the best. And to me, that is exciting. It's absolutely exciting. So I hope that's made sense, and I've probably waffled on forever, haven't I? I do apologize. So this might be a part 1, 2, and 3. But let's see what we can do together. I hope it's going to help you guys out, because it's just so exciting to find a formula that will work for those of you that do know your way around a computer. You don't have to be a whiz at it. As long as you've got an idea, or a partner or a family member that does, you'll be able to learn this, and you'll be able to get so much more out of all the kits you purchase, whether it's from me or anybody else. You'll be able to resize them according to your needs, as long as it's reasonable. So you don't want to be turning this into a square, because then it's going to look weird. Thank you, everyone. I hope it was helpful. So that's part one. That's the end of part one, everybody. I apologize for the repetition, but as you can see, weeks have passed between each of these, but I think repetition is key, and it's all about me reassuring you to have the confidence to give this a try. So part two will either be linked in the icon that I mentioned at the beginning on the right. In other words, you can link to there. If for some reason I have a problem with that, I will link it below. Please do watch part two, because it will give you an idea of how to go about this process so that you can get the most out of your digitals, and using something that your computer will most likely will have, or finding something that's available online for free is really worth your while. It will open up many doors that you never ever knew you could open. So thank you, everybody. Please have a great day wherever you are, and please watch part two of this. When I upload this, I will make sure part two is uploaded too, so you can go from one to the next if you wish. Watching this over a few times again, and the other one, is worth your while, especially when learning something new. Thanks, everyone. Please take care, and I appreciate you all. Bye.